Okay, so after you're done with your regular yoga practice, if you want to open up the front body and counter the forward bends, then do this from wherever you are. It could be a downward facing dog or a child's pose. Let's say it's a child's pose. Come forward into your plank and lower down to the floor through a chaturanga, on or off the knees. When you get down, rest your head on your hands. Keep your feet together and your knees a comfortable distance apart, and start to lift and lower the legs up off the floor. Maybe just 10 to 20 times with your head down. If you want this to be more challenging, you can lift your head. It'll make it a little bit more difficult to get, and what you're doing here is hip extension. And so if you want to keep this just in the hips, the head will be down. If you want to create more of a bow or an extension in the front body, then you'll have your head up. After, you will let your legs down to the floor, come to a cobra or an up dog, push back to a down dog so that you can softly release the extension into a soft flexion of the spine for a couple breaths. And then you'll come back through your plank to the floor, a regular plank or a plank on the knees, however you're most comfortably lowering down to the floor. When you get down, we'll leave the legs and the hips on the floor and come up into a forearm extension. It's a deeper back bend. If your elbows are close to you, it's a softer back bend if your elbows are far away. Find the position that feels comfortable and traction the heart forward, almost feeling like you're pulling the elbows back towards you, but they're not moving. And that kind of pushes the heart forward. It creates length across the whole spine so that even though you're bending your back, it shouldn't feel like it's getting crunched. You can squeeze the glutes to protect the lower back and tuck the tailbone a little bit. Susan was saying she's not liking side. She's not sure about side bends right now, but if you want a little bit of a smaller type of side bend stretch, you can do it here just by leaning to the right, looking over the right shoulder, leaning to the left, looking over the left shoulder, coming back to center. This is your passive extension, but you want to make it active because you want it to be something that your spine can do without support. So after you do a hold here for several breaths, reach your arms back behind you, and now you've taken away your support. So this is a more active extension of the spine. This is what you're doing without assistance from the arms. And if you want to do active extension with the hips, then you're going to float the legs up off the floor as well. So I would hold this for about 5 breaths or so. To come out, keep the legs up if they are. Take the hands underneath the shoulders. Keep the chest open and the neck long. Slowly lift the chest as you drop the legs. Just come to the height that's comfortable for your back, where your shoulders can stay low. Doesn't matter how high the chest is here. And then press back for another child's pose and take several breaths in your child's pose. For the third stretch or pose, and I know that this is familiar to you, that we've incorporated it before. You'll come into the plank that's working best for you. You'll lower it down to the floor. To make it most simple, let your feet come down onto the floor and keep your head on the floor throughout the entire stretch. So you'll let your head rest down on your left hand. You'll reach back. You'll hold onto your foot. You can hold on to it any way that works for you. The lower it goes, the more you can turn your hands around the front of the foot, and it gives you just a little bit more ability to push down. Note too that where the foot goes, like does it go on my glute or to the side of the glute or to the side of the hip, changes the stretch. Do you want to keep the front of the hips kind of locked down onto the floor? So as this gets more comfortable for you, you could prop up on your forearm. I'm going to do this other arm position. You don't have to do this one. It feels better for my elbow and my wrist. You could also, with the head down or up, squeeze the left leg up off the floor. These are just extras. The main thing is the quad stretch, and it's most accessible when the head is down. You'll do 5 to 10 breaths on the right side. You'll switch sides. Take 5 to 10 slow breaths on the left side. After the left side, you'll take the hands underneath the shoulders, lift to a cobra or an up dog. An up dog would be with the hips up off the floor, but you can just do cobras here if you want to. And then come back to a child's pose. And those are good, and we used to do those, and so maybe you're still doing some of them, I'm not sure. When you come to lie down on your back, for back bends, you've kind of primed extension in the hips and the spine. So I don't know if you are, my block is being used for the video. If you're still doing a bridge on the floor, I know that you both are doing bridges on the ball. If you are not doing bridges on the floor, you might want to revisit when you lift your hips up off the floor. This is hip extension, and you could take a block, mine's being used to hold the camera up right now, and place it underneath your hips. And then Susan, you can just, instead of lying flat on the floor like this, you can add just a little bit extra and have some hip extension going on at the same time. You can even do the low section of the block for this. It doesn't have to be high. And then take, let's say I'm on a block, take your right leg and just stretch it down to the floor and just relax. Take it back, do the left leg, just stretch it down to the floor, relax. Come back, lift up as high as you can off the block, move the block out of the way, and articulate the spine on the way down. Take the feet apart to about mat distance apart. This is another stretch for the quadriceps. You can put your arms wherever you like. This is like a little bit of a softer one that I like to finish with. Feet are mat distance apart, and you're taking the knees from side to side. That kind of cools things down a little bit, and maybe you're ready to do your Shavasana after this. So those are the 5 I would add in to begin with. And let me know if you're already doing some of those, or if you want to know what's next to do after that. I hope that is helpful. Love you. Happy yoga.